Kia. The automaker, which you were making jokes about just over a decade ago, is now challenging the established premium automakers with its latest and greatest ever offering, the new Stinger. And it's dead serious about it too, the proof being just how good its new luxo fastback really is. If you approach the Stinger with no expectations or any bias whatsoever, as I did, having neither a positive nor negative view of the Korean brand, you will be thoroughly impressed. Even if you approach it with skepticism and deliberately want to hate on it, you will have a hard time doing so, while if you love it already, you will definitely find more to love. Climbing aboard the Stinger in GT line trim, you will definitely feel like you're in a luxury car. The cabin is dominated by nice-to-touch materials that are both soft and tactile, with real metal touches and a very sturdy build. Overall quality is just superb in this car, especially assembly quality, as some materials lower down do feel lower rent than what you'd find in an equivalent German car. But then again, the Kia does undercut rivals on price, and the places where costs have been saved are rather out of reach. The only place where a nasty material really stands out is on the steering wheel. The plastic trim that covers the airbag is just plain ugly. It looks and feels it too. Anybody can find a comfortable driving position in the Stinger, both if you're short or very tall. The design of the center console is definitely reminiscent of that of a Porsche Panamera, and everything is suitably well damped. And in spite of what you may have seen in other videos, the center console is really solidly in place here. You can't really jiggle it around. An interesting dashboard design choice is the fact that this vent is different to these vents, but also different to this vent, which is different to these vents and that vent. Traveling on longer journeys in the back of the Stinger is not a chore, thanks to decent knee room and a really big cushion. I mean, it's one of the largest I've seen in a car in this class. However, that is negatively offset by the fact that headroom is quite limited, and also you cannot slide your feet underneath the front chair. The Stinger can't really carry 3 passengers in the back on longer journeys, as it has a big transmission tunnel, nor can it carry a huge cargo in the back with its quite shallow boot that has a quoted capacity of 406 liters or just over 1100 liters with the rear seats folded, which you can only do from inside the passenger compartment, not the boot like in some rivals. But the door bins on all doors are big, the glove box and center armrest cubby are pretty big too, and there are additional places to put your things all throughout the cabin. I encountered no problem using the car's infotainment system, which in this example is accessed via an 8-inch touchscreen display. The screen itself is nothing to write home about though, neither in terms of image quality nor in terms of how it works with the dash design. However, it makes up for that in its functionality. Aside from adjusting the usual parameters you have access to in most cars' infotainment, the one in the Stinger adds another layer of customizability to many settings which in other cars cannot be changed. Our all-wheel drive tester was powered by the mid-range engine option, for Europe at least, the 2.2-liter diesel engine, which is good for 200 euro horsepower and 440 Nm of torque. In order to get the negatives out of the way first, I must mention the fact that the engine is not terribly refined overall, and until properly warmed up, it really makes its presence felt inside the cabin. The performance it provided in conjunction with the optional all-wheel drive and standard 8-speed automatic gearbox was rather brisk. The car has great in-gear punch, and even picking up from lower RPMs, it still pulls strongly all the way to 4000 RPM. The transmission is an 8-speed automatic made in-house by Kia. It's really about as good as the popular ZF transmission, shifting with similar creamy smoothness in comfort mode and alert crispness when sport is selected. It's a truly great transmission whose only fault seems to be the slight jerkiness when shifting from reverse into drive or vice versa. The Stinger is not a light car, and our tester, with its diesel engine and all-wheel drive, tipped the scales at nearly 1850 kilos. Even so, It is more agile than you'd give it credit for given its heft, and it has sharp and direct steering and excellently judged suspension. Our tester didn't have adaptive dampers, but I didn't really miss them. When cornering hard, you do feel inertia trying to get the car to understeer, but it always somehow holds its line and powers through completely undramatically. With all-wheel drive, you really have to struggle to throw the car in order to make it slide its tail out. Thankfully, while we were filming the video review, we came across a snowy, twisty mountain road. There the Stinger became a lively but controllable sideways machine, which was definitely more capable than I had the balls to try to drive it on said road. Overall, the handling experience of the Stinger diesel all-wheel drive is sporty, but it's definitely more of a cruiser than a corner carver. On the Stinger's shoulders rests the future of Kia's premium ambitions to create large rear-wheel drive biased luxury barges. And the Stinger is not just good for a first effort. The Stinger is good full stop. The Stinger is a desirable car. I think I've said that before, but I keep returning to it. I really like it. I really like this Stinger. I'd buy one. And I'd probably buy the 2-liter turbo petrol engine because the V6 is really thirsty. And yeah, it's fast. The V6 can propel the car to 100 kilometers an hour in under 5 seconds, and that's impressive. But the petrol 2-liter, I think, with 255 horsepower and 6-ish seconds to 100 kilometers an hour is probably the pick of the range. So does this car have any bad points? Well, firstly, the interior design, while it's decent, it feels like a mishmash of design influences from other cars. I mean, I can see plenty of Mercedes and Audi in here. Yes, there is more bad news. The infotainment screen. The screen itself is good, it's very quick, and the infotainment is also very competent, but the way it's bezeled here, I don't really like it. I approached this car with zero expectations. I didn't want it to be good, I didn't want it to be bad, I didn't really care if it was either, but I'm happy to report the Kia Stinger is a great car. One I would consider buying myself if I was in the segment looking for something. I mean, as a value proposition, it beats its rivals, not by much, but then again, you aren't getting any less car for your money. So in that respect, I think it's quite good. I think it's really good. I think you should give the Kia Stinger your attention.